Sarah's ready. Jonathan, you want to?
Sarah Hunt
We could
gave
call
me
the
a
meeting
shot.
to order and Jonathan's going to do a roll call.
Oh, really? Are you ready?
614.
Tucholsky. Haas. Present. Snyder.
Present.
Stotts. Moore.
Present.
Nathano. Marinette.
Here.
Earhart. Davidson.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
The chairman of the committee, Don Pachowski, is not present today, so a member may make a motion to make somebody chair for this meeting for today only.
I'll make a motion to make Chris Snyder the chair of the meeting.
Second. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All those opposed? The motion carries. So Chris,
Okay. Chair. John, Mike just walked in, if you can make note of that. So, okay. Well, we'll move on to item number 2. There is no public comment. So I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting. So move Jeff, second Paul Haas. Thank you. Are there any comments? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call.
Marinette.
Aye.
Earhart. Davidson.
Aye.
Miller. Aye. Tucholsky. Haas.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Stotts. Moore.
Aye.
Nathano.
Aye.
motion carries.
Motion carries. So thank you. Under chairman's remarks, Chairman Pachowski regrets that he was unable to participate today. But on his behalf, I do want to thank you all for being here on not short notice, but finding time out of your busy schedules to be here. I know we've got a lot to discuss and present, and so we're looking forward to hearing from John on those topics. So with that, I'll move on to discussion. We'll start with item 5A, draft comprehensive road improvement plan presentation. All of you got an advanced copy of this?
Yes,
Or at
and
least the data.
the whole script, which some of you maybe have printed out and some of you have not. So whatever the case may be, there is also a presentation by your places as well. We'll go through that in a step by step. Just as a way of background, next slide, please. So at the last meeting, we talked a little bit about land use assumptions, description of all the roads, streets, and service areas, and the existing deficiencies. Those ones were taken care of, but they are included within the CRIP that we sent out to you. Hope you'll have a chance to look through it. I know there's a lot of stuff there, so things that if you have any questions on, we're very happy to talk about either here or offline. So the impacting law requires that we do publish those things, and in addition to that, a commitment to cure those existing deficiencies. That's kind of a tricky language. Unfortunately, that it's not really realistic, in a lot of cases, at least in transportation engineering. Reasonable estimates of costs to build and to cure some of those deficiencies. We also identify the funds available to finance road improvements, which is contained in our section 5 of the CRIP schedule, setting forth the estimated dates. So that's basically, what are we doing in 5 years, 10 years, and then beyond that 10-year period. That we've included in Appendix C of the CRIP. And also it talks about agreements for sharing expenses if fees will be spent in other jurisdictional roadways. And so basically an agreement section, what is missing is they are very silent about the method by which we actually describe what the future deficiencies are that we're going to be paying our money for. So it's an interesting kind of conflict for us, but we have taken the approach over the years that we are going to try to hold firm on our technical analysis of all the land use and the potential scenarios and projects that we'll be doing through our technical means, our model. Next slide, Lindsay. So under the commitment to cure existing deficiencies, we have at least expressed internally, and I think that the public has generally agreed with this principle, is our obligation is to maintain our roads to the highest degree possible. That's our first obligation, really, is to make sure that we are providing safe and adequate roads for both business and personal travel. We're also looking at really use of our funding to where we can't actually make the most significant improvements, where we can't actually maximize intersections, to make sure that every single level of service on every approach is a level of service A, trying to find efficient solutions for the money that we actually have to spend. So a lot of the improvements that you'll see within the plan itself actually talk about system enhancements. So that will be traffic signal improvements, there'll be turn lane improvements, things like that will actually get us a little bit farther. So in the appendices, you'll note that there are a couple of locations where we talked about what might be a practicable solution, where there might be practical solutions, and where there aren't, and how those are actually identified and programmed inside of the CRIP. So in the CRIP documents, there's the appendices actually talk about the location of where those deficiencies are, the practicability of mitigating those, and then where the project is currently programmed to plan. So those are things that if you happen to have questions on and have a project that you are interested in, happy to talk about those with you. Next slide. So the cost to cure deficiency. So we have we've actually determined the cost through the long range transportation plan process. This is something that we have been going through kind of simultaneous to the CRIP process. It's been an exhaustive process, and it really involves a lot of different screening activities that we've conducted. So most of the costs that we've derived have been based on recent history and bid documents from our projects. Many of our projects include a lot of different things. So it's not just simple replacement of pavement, it's also new sidewalks and new storm sewer, a variety of landscaping, or lighting aspects to the project. So extracting some of that stuff is a little tricky, but these are what you see there on the screen is actually kind of a synthesis of some of the major elements that go into our projects. And those costs are shown in our section 5. What we do know is that Chicago Construction Cost Index has increased about 80% since 2000, and it's way ahead of basically the consumer price index, and also our motor fuel tax and local gas tax receipts. So that's an issue for us, and as a consequence, I think we've talked about this before, realizing that our local gas tax and MFT receipts have increased due to the state capital plan, and also recent activities here in the county for increasing the local gas tax. So most of the cost estimates that you find inside of the plan itself for the projects includes engineering, land acquisition, contingencies, and there are oftentimes contingencies in many of our projects. Current costs are inflated to the midpoint of the 5-year program. So that is, if we estimate that a project is going to go in the 2031 to 2035 time period, we inflate the cost from today's costs to 2033 using a fairly conservative 2.5% inflation factor. Next slide, please. Through the LRTP, we've gone through the process of outlining exactly what we're going to be, we think we're going to be collecting in revenues over the course of 20 years. And so here in this graphic, you show a 10-year period, basically just a compression of the 20-year graphic that we have. So our major revenue streams are local gas tax, state motor fuel taxes. We talked about permit fees, federal and state grants, which we've been assuming at about $5 million per year. Some years are high, some years are low, depending upon what we apply for, and then charges for services, including impact fees. We are expecting a total revenue estimate of about $770 million over the 10 years. Most of that, 85% of it, if not more, will come from local gas tax and state MFT. About $13 million will come from impact fees. We're assuming about $1 million a year, plus or minus in some years. 23 million by 2040. So we're expecting that impact fee revenues will decline ultimately as we build out. But the question really is what is the use of those impact fees? You know, anymore, we're not really talking about full projects. Impact fees are not going to be used to build the Yellow Road or 75th Street. They're going to be used to improve intersections, to make to buy right of way, to essentially contract with engineering firms for design or phase one engineering. So the bulk of the funds that will be accruing over the years will go or come from motor fuel taxes and user taxes. Next slide, please. So talking a little bit about what the state kind of missed out on in their requirements, the future project identification and schedule kind of part. So the project identification is really correlated with the LRTP process. Uses the following stuff: the land use projections, which we had adopted in 2018, local, state, and tollway 5-year capital improvement plans, and the county 5-year program as well. And all that is put into this traffic model that we have been using since I began here at the county in 1991. And what it basically does is that it produces a 10-year look ahead, what's going to be needed in terms of transportation improvements. It also looks ahead at the 2040 timeframe as well. So what happens is that we take a look at those outcomes and decide whether or not this is something that is significant and actually if there is a project there or is not a project there. It includes a lot of the existing deficiencies that we have not addressed through the 2021 capital program as well. Our schedule is often determined by the capital improvement program, and it's complementary to the long-range transportation plan. So what does that mean? It means that we can only program so much within 5-year periods due to cash flow, and we're trying to make sure that we are responsible in terms of allocation of funds in the 5-year periods. And so it often boils down to the degree of need and the cost of the project before we actually schedule it in our 5-year increments. Next slide. One of the things I neglected to mention there was that when in looking at the 2030 and 2040 model results, one of the things that popped out, which was kind of interesting to us, was that according to 2030 traffic model, there'd be about a 15% degradation of the operating speed on the county highways in the peak periods by 2030, as long as we continue on the same development trends that we have been over the course of the last 20 years. If not, and we continue to see this, see the results of the pandemic pan out in terms of the changes to retail, the changes of office space and work from home. The model is fairly capable of doing kind of on-the-fly changes, through its assumptions to actually produce alternate realities, within that framework. So we're going to be looking at that over the course of the next couple of years to see how things change in respect to the pandemic, especially office and retail. We do know that industrial has been more active, and certainly with all the new trucks, there's actually a truck model that we have developed through the modeling process as well that has been very useful and has been pretty good at forecasting truck traffic, certainly in the O'Hare area, which is an important place to look at. In the near term, Crip, what we're looking at are programmed improvements. So what we mean by programmed is projects where we've already allocated some revenue to. That might mean that we're in phase 1 or 2 or even construction phase of some of these projects on here. And we differentiate that from what we call planned improvements, where planned improvements mean that they're on the books and we're interested in doing them, but we don't happen to have any money allocated to them at this time. So what we have here is a graphic of state, tollway, and county capital improvements that are really capacity improvements. There are many more improvements that might be a bridge deck improvement or some type of drainage improvement or sidewalk improvement. The model just isn't very good at adept at handling those, and we don't really model those types of improvements. But what this one is showing you is what we have included within that base 2030 and 2040 model scenario. So these are the projects, and some of those include the Illinois 390 and completion off of York Road and the western access of O'Hare, the 490 improvement from 294 all the way up to I-90, the 294 project that's currently ongoing with the tollway. In Oak Brook, you see our 31st Street improvement that we're doing presently. We also happen to have some fairly significant reconstruction projects, including the Fabian Parkway project up in West Chicago and the York Road project up by 390. So those are representative of some of the major projects that we have included, at least in this program section. So there's a total of 41 projects, about $174 million included that are just DuPage County projects in the 5-year program. 13 of those projects, totaling a little bit more than $94 million, are impact fee eligible projects. Right now, we have about $6 million sitting in the impact fee banks. I don't think we're going to be able to pay for all of those $94 million projects. So we will be using those projects on many of these the impact fee eligible projects in this list.
John,
Yes,
are the 294 projects impact fee eligible or?
they are not.
Okay, I didn't think so. Are they
No.
mostly along 55 or 355? Is there a pattern to where the impact fee projects are? Are they mostly in the northwest quadrant of the county?
What I'm going to do is, realizing that in subsequent slides, you'll see that where some things are impact fee eligible. I'm going to go ahead and when we actually publish this list, I'll actually put the ones on here that show them or demonstrate on this map where they are. So
I'll wait for my answer. Thank you.
Next slide. In the longer term, the 6 to 15 year time frame, those projects that are included here went through that kind of a screening process of what is really doable, what costs, what it would cost us, what the benefits are of each of these projects. What you'll see a lot of this list in the appendices C4 and C5. C4 is really the DuPage County projects. C5 we've called projects of other needs, and those other needs are those of the tollway state municipal systems. We've chosen not to show them as planned because the other agencies have not weighed in with us to officially give us a thumbs up or thumbs down on any of those projects. So of the planned improvements, we've got about 28 projects in the 26 to 30 5-year program at about 192 million. Again, another 16 of those are impact fee eligible. And in the next subsequent 10 years, the 31 to 40, there are roughly 40 projects at $370 million. Again, another 18 of those are impact fee eligible. We're trying, we have tried to ascertain, where those are eligible and what portions of those projects are eligible. And so we'll indicate, as we go forward, exactly what is and what is not eligible as we get them in, as we move them into the CIP or the capital improvement program. Other projects that have been identified as impact fee eligible include some of our other agencies. And so as we have indicated with our new impact fee ordinance, some other projects through state and municipal areas are actually eligible for impact fees as long as they meet certain criteria. And we've identified 11 of those projects in these other projects or other needs. So that is also included in our Appendix C5. Slide, thank you. So that's kind of it in a nutshell of what you're going to see in the plan. What we're proposing here and would like to have you provide us is your concurrence to basically set a public hearing date for the GRIP, and that means we need to publish public hearing notices 3 times after Transportation Committee essentially approves a resolution. The public hearing would happen between 30 and 60 days after the final public hearing notice. So we're into December for that public hearing. Then IFAC would meet again within 30 days after that, probably in the first week and a half of January. And then pending, all the comments that we receive and your comments that you will give us or provide us over the course of the 2 or 3 months here, we'll take it to Transportation Committee, for the GRIP to be approved officially. So we're looking at a county board adoption date of 2/22/22. Any thoughts or comments or questions?
In the second to last PowerPoint, the 11 other agency projects that be eligible. What sort of projects are those?
So these would be intersection projects mostly. So I'm not sure if I have a great example, but one of them might be the intersection at Ogden and Yackley, for example. We might actually spend some money if the ultimate decision is to improve Ogden, and it benefits DuPage County Highway, Yackley Avenue, County Highway 40. That would actually qualify.
So that would be in conjunction with the municipality?
Could be, and there are some other municipal projects perhaps that maybe again another intersection might be Napier and Maple, for example, where there could be something that is appropriate to do on Naperville's leg of the intersection, and we would be spending a little bit of the impact fee money on that as well. Perhaps as long as it actually meets the criteria of approving county highway performance.
The balance in that particular township or district support that.
Yeah, well, and that's where it becomes really tricky is that, again, I think with the level of revenue that we're talking about here, it's first come, first serve anymore.
Okay.
And that's what we're contending with a lot, and with maybe one exception in District 9, which is Downers Grove Township, where we have repeatedly had fairly high balances. We can maybe allocate to multiple projects, but there isn't so much money within each of the districts that that would go very far.
Thank you.
Yeah, the list of, and for everybody's application, I think, John, you did hand out
Yeah,
the other agency eligible projects. So in the far right column, those are the 11, I think, that you referenced on the slide here.
yeah. So sorry, because in the script that we sent out, there was apparently Adobe had not reliably transferred the files over to that appendix. So this is the revised appendix 5. So
And are there any other comments that's been presented? The project's process. I think what we're looking for then, I guess what we're looking for then is a motion to, John included a schedule, so we're asking for committee approval to advertise and host a public hearing based on the schedule that was provided in accordance with statute 605 ILCS 55905. Second, pause, second, TJ. Roll call?
Yes.
We have a roll call?
Marinette,
Aye.
Earhart, Davidson,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mikulski, Haas,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Schatz. Moore,
Aye.
Smetana.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. So thank you. Under old business, any items? Old? I just personally want to thank John. I know he's been at this, both this CRIP and the long range plan, and you think they would just move seamlessly together. But they do operate under some different rules, and John has been able to do both float and moving forward. And so I just want to thank him for his hard work. I mean, it's been quite a bit of his time and effort. On the long range plan, just to give a little bit of update on that, we are looking to move that forward to a little bit different pace than this. We think there's got to be some separation because people may not know when they go to a meeting which one we're presenting on, and it can't be concurrent because the CRIP has the impact has a very specific prescribed requirements. So those will be on a similar but different tracks, and we're also hoping to bring that forward to ultimately to our board for approval, hopefully by the end of this year, if not very early January. So you'll all be made, informed of the public hearing dates. I think we're going to do that virtual, John. So it will be virtual.
it'll be open for probably about 2 or 3 week period. Yeah, there'll be a presentation. You can actually walk through the virtual open house and make comments. I really appreciate it, if people would take a look at it. We'll send you out the links, but it's an important plan, I think, for the
Other old business? Seeing none. Any new business? This would be different from old business that's new to the committee. The chairman says that every time. Not Pachowski, Cronin. Just wants to make sure the board members understand new versus old. So
Concepts are important.
exactly. So so then no new business. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. Roll call.
I'm gonna say all those in favor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody wants to stick around? Motion carries. So again, thank you all for coming out. I appreciate it. That's it. All right.